Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Our episode of Star Wars discussions. So this is something regarding the Force Awakens 10th anniversary. It's come to my attention really that basically Lucasfilm was never going to make a good Star Wars film. It's never going to happen. I mean, they bought the franchise in what, 2015 or something. I look up the exact date, but I'm looking at it right now. Pretty sure it was 2015 or something, because they started these films right away, and the moment Lucas signed it off, Bob Iger announced Episode 7 was going to be happening in 2015. So it must have been like a year or two earlier, because the last film was in 2019, and that's 2025 now. So it's at least 6, 7 years later, maybe going on 8. Which, when I really think about it, is just kind of sad. I mean, if they haven't made a good film yet, then it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You just look at everything that's happened in the franchise. Like they had Disney Force Awakens, The Last Third, and then whatever happened after that one. And it just got worse and worse as it went on. It takes a real skill to do that with a franchise like Star Wars. I'm just saying. It's like someone like me who grew up with expanding universe. I never really cared that much about the new movies anyway. So this was never going to affect me in any way, shape, or form. Because I grew up with the books, comics, and games, Thrawn trilogy, Legacy of the Force, all that stuff. That's my Star Wars outside of the original trilogy and the prequels. And people forget that there was like at least 15, 20 years without Star Wars after the original trilogy concluded in the 80s. So like from like 83 to 99, it's about 10, 12 years, 15 years maybe. 99 when Phantom Menace came out. I was like, when was I, 8 or 9, 10 maybe. Same age, basically same age as Jake Lloyd. So I pretty much grew up with Jake Lloyd's Anakin. So I saw a lot of myself in that character. And it's probably why I like the pod race so much, because for one, it's original, and two, never gonna see anything like that ever again. It's never gonna happen. You're like, you really think about it. If that was Ray in the pod race, she would have won. Why even try? Why even try? It's just the way a character was written. She doesn't really have a character, honestly, but just something I've been thinking about recently. I'm like, they're never gonna make a good Star Wars film. I was like, it became pretty clear to me after Rogue Zero came out, because that film sucked. The Solo movie sucked. Kenobi might as well be in an alternate universe, because he shouldn't have even fought Vader, let alone interacted with him. You know, it was cool seeing Vader on the big screen, but or in the live action again, but it still destroys the timeline. Okay, it just comes around back full circle that he just let Vader walk away again. Like he literally left him to burn and Brandon Sith to find out he's alive, and then basically everything that happens after this is all his fault. Like I was talking to somebody the other day about The Force Awakens, and like, "Oh, you don't like the Disney Wars movies?" Like, hell no. And maybe at the time I was duped into it like everybody else, but as soon as my eyes were open, I'm like, wait a second, because like Jar Jar Binks doesn't know how to write or direct for shit. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, so he doesn't know how to finish a bloody story. Problem number three, and he got over to some idiot named Roundhead, and he just completely shit the bed with the middle film. I mentioned in my last Star Wars discussion video that the idea of Luke being depressed is interesting, but it's still the film deconstructed his character and destroyed everything that Lucas set up for the last 40 years. So, yeah, it's pitiful what this franchise has turned into. Knowing what it could be, whenever you think about what Star Wars is, what it's meant to so many people over the years, seeing it turn into this joke of a franchise is really sad. Well, like it's been close to 7, maybe 8 years now since Disney Wars took over and destroyed this franchise, with the exception of the games, like Fallen Order, like Star Wars Outlaws, like Jedi Survivors, like Star Wars Squadrons, Public Commando. Well, that's from the EU, but there's one thing that's consistent about the expanding universe was there was always like good content coming out. Public Commando, the KOTOR games came up before the prequels. I think they came out before Revenge of the Sith. There was consistent content. This era, be lucky to see a decent book or comic. Granted, there are some decent pieces of material out there. There were a few good Darth Vader comics here and there, but doesn't really save the fact that this era has been absolutely terrible, film wise, TV wise. Yeah, there's some cool things about Ahsoka for the most part, but end of the day, I mean, they destroyed Thrawn character wise, fundamentally, nothing like what it was in the EU. And granted, enough time has passed that maybe some things could change writing wise, but the character is not what he was at all. It's a pale imitation. I was explaining to somebody, I'm like, yeah, Thrawn is a strategist. He's not Sith or anything like that. He's extremely intelligent, and he uses art to decipher the enemy's weaknesses. We see none of that in Ahsoka. None of it. They spent like 5 episodes doing nothing. By the time I get to Thrawn, he's completely out of character. He's aligning himself with these stupid witch things, which I don't believe he would do at all, any circumstances. Like, there's no way you would trust him. There's no way. And name this fool what drawn from the EU? Not in a million years. Now this is a clip from World Class Pole Shares. And we're going to take a look at this clip here. Pretty much explain everything I've been saying. And just to piggyback on what he was saying for a second here, I remember when, I think it was Christmas time, when this stupid film came out, and everybody was everybody was high on the hype. I remember the commercials during Super Bowl, and I think I had a video where I wore a Vader mask, and surprisingly, the video didn't do that great despite my efforts. I don't understand why. Even now, you're looking back on that video, but I remember just being so excited about it. But unfortunately, it just excuse me, cemented the fact that this era has been built on nothing but nostalgia. There's really no stories being told when we really think about it. Even shows like Andor is all based on prequelitis. Nothing really original. It's a story never needed to be told. Rogue Zero's story never needed to be told. Solo, the story never needed to be told. The Kenobi show never needed to exist. Ahsoka never needed to exist. Ahsoka should have died in the Space Legend show, fighting Vader in that temple, coming around full circle. Trained by Anakin, killed by Vader, is where her story should have ended. I like the character of Ahsoka, but she should have died in that temple. It's like seeing the book Cal Kestis in Fallen Orders. I'm like, I like Cal Kestis, I do. Never should have made it out of that chamber in the Inquisitor Fortress. Never should have made it out of that room. Him and Seer, I don't know how Seer survived that shit, but never should have made it out of that room. It's just like we're in this era now where anybody can wield a lightsaber, anybody can use the Force now. It's just so stupid. It's completely undermined everything Lucas set up years ago. And even in the expanded universe, there's not everything about the EU is great, but it's 10 times better than the garbage we've been getting for the last 10 years. Man, I can guarantee you Lucas would have had a Star Wars film out by now if he was still running the show. Or not. It doesn't really matter to me. I was content with there not being a Star Wars film maybe ever. It was like there's a Sith tagline was the saga is complete. I'm like, cool, I'm fine with that. Everybody came around full circle, tied up loose ends, leads directly into the original film. I got the EU, the expanding universe, and could use our imagination to fill in the blanks. But no, just had to sell it to Mickey Mouse, and now they just make TV shows and stupid prequel movies, filling every little damn thing, taking away all your imagination because they have no creativity in that studio. Because it's run by a crazy woman and some fool in a cowboy hat. I tried to defend some of these shows, I really did. I can't do it anymore. It's just bad. It's really just bad. And then you have shows like The Acolyte and Tales of the Jedi was terrible. Tales of the Empire was decent with Barriss Offee. I thought that storyline was kind of cool. No one gives a crap about Morgan something, whatever the witch chick's name is. No one cares. I never needed to see a freaking tiny ass Ahsoka because I know what she becomes already. It's just like, can we do something original, please? Like, there's books in the expanding universe that take place the moment the second Death Star blows up. I'm talking the Death Star blows up, they're celebrating the Teddy Bear Village, and there's pilots running to their X-Wings. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me an original story about a smuggler just going day to day, like K-Vest and Star Wars Outlaws. Is like, this what Andor does? Like, not really. Andor tells a pointless story that never needed to be told in the first place. And the guy was in one movie, and he got blown to bits. I honestly don't remember anything about him. I don't understand why this guy is so popular. I don't get it. It's the Boba Fett argument. Why is this character so popular? And no one could ever really explain it. I don't get it. But it's like if you look at something like The Force Awakens, it really was built on nostalgia hype, and I think that's ultimately what destroyed it in the end. I mean, for me, what really cemented the fact that it was going to be garbage was when Death Star 3 showed up. I'm like, wow. Almost 30 years after the original film, we're still doing Death Stars. That kind of did it for me on this robot. I'd watch another one, really. Jar Jar Abrams strikes again. Yes, I figured. So you said 2012. So yeah, I remember Shit, I was probably in middle school or some shit. No, middle school, maybe high school. Whatever it was, like I knew from the beginning, like this is gonna destroy this franchise. We are run this into the ground. I remember watching the video at the time. Like, oh my god, no, no, this is amazing. Like 10 years later, there are like maybe a pocket full of fans left that still give a damn. I'm not one of them, but there are people out there that still care for some reason. I'm like, if you get rid of the actual characters people give a damn about, where's there to actually gravitate towards? Because, and I've always said that the games have always been top notch, and we've got quite a few cool games coming out on the horizon here. Star Wars Eclipse looks amazing. The new Fate of the Old Republic looks fantastic. It's probably going to be a couple years out, but Jedi Survivor Part 3 is coming out soon, I imagine. There's a new strategy game Star Wars game coming out. So, like, back in the days of the EU and LucasArts, there was at least a new Star Wars game every year or so. More than one, for sure. Like, you would get KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2 maybe a year later. And those both came out before Revenge of the Sith, so back in the day, they was always pumping out new material. The books were always coming out one after the other. Legacy of the Force, Jedi Apprentice, Fate of the Jedi, which wasn't too great. The Thrawn trilogy was what started everything in the expanded universe. There's so many different pockets of Star Wars in that universe that Mickey Mouse hasn't even touched because they're just so stuck in this sandbox of we gotta rinse and repeat and hire this idiot here to just do the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, at first I was kind of on board with Jar Jar Abrams because I kind of like the Star Trek movies, but given the fact I'm not really a Trekkie, I guess that kind of makes sense. But because his Star Trek movies kind of feel like Star Wars, in the tone wise at least. But Star Trek really isn't an action series. Not really. I guess it depends on which one you're talking about. When you look at The Force Awakens, like apparently he said, I've heard interviews with Jar Jar Abrams saying that he doesn't like the original film. I'm like, well, we copied it pretty hard, dude. So I'm not sure if I believe that. It was like 30, almost 15 years after the prequels, and this idiot puts Test Star 3 in this movie. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, dude. And then he hands the baton off to some idiot named Roundhead. Really shits the bed, and then he comes back for what might be the worst of the Disney Wars era. I didn't bother seeing it on the big screen. I never was going to see it. Because I'm like, there's no way it's going to be good. The second one was ass. It was terrible. Terrible. But the one Jar Jar Binks came back for was even worse. I don't know how that's possible. You'd think deconstructing the main character of the Star Wars franchise would be enough. But then this idiot came back and made it worse. And now there hasn't been a single, not one film since 2019. It's almost 7 years, people. 7 years. Going on 8, come 2026. It's got to be at least 8 years now. 8 years. Lucas would have had a film out by now. If this was the prequels, let's see, 99 was Phantom Menace. It was like 2002 was Attack of the Clones, and 2005 was Revenge of the Sith. So that's 2 years in between each. The original trilogy is at least 3 years apart for each one. Star Wars was 77, ESB was 1980, and Jedi was 83. That's about 2 years in between both for all those as well. So George Lucas was still involved, or had Steven Spielberg or someone competent taken over. Still amazed why that hasn't happened. We would have had at least a couple films out by now. And I can promise you, Luke Skywalker would not have been killed if Lucas was still involved. I guarantee you. And if he had to get killed off, he would have gone out like Kenobi did in the original film. And if you have to do it, at least do it that way. Well, like, who doesn't freaking die in the expanded universe? I don't know why they would do that now. Like, you're talking about destroying the ability to print money for the next, like, 50 years. They completely ruined all. And then Empress K get like, oh, there's no source material. Like, really? So you're telling all the books I read, all the comics I read just don't count? You're nuts. But where'd you get Thrawn from then? Half these characters that they made up in Disney Wars are off from the expanded universe. Kylo Ren is a freaking Darth Vader's ripoff. Rey, I can't even say she's Jaina because, I mean, Jaina's complicated enough on her own. So, like, just to call Rey a Jaina ripoff is kind of insulted that character. But I can't even say she's Jaina. But the Rey character is a mess on its own. She doesn't really have a character. Everybody else is pretty much a ripoff. Yeah, Kamala's is terrible, and Ahsoka. The more I think about it, the more it kind of takes me off. Because I'm like, the whole show was built up on Thrawn showing up. And I finally see the shithead. He's completely out of character. Like, aside of him looking like Thrawn, for the most part talking like him, like, everything else about it's completely off. I'm like, something off about this. But I'm like, ugh. I mean, they said there was no source material, and they said the EU doesn't exist in Disney Wars canon then. And do nothing but rip it off at the same time. Because they have no characters that people give a damn about in this shitty Disney Wars era. Just let that sink in that there hasn't been a Star Wars film in 7 years, almost 8 years now, coming 2026. And the next film that they're putting out is based on a television character that wears a helmet and barely says 2 words and travels with a little kid who's 50 years old and still doesn't talk. Someone please tell me, is this a joke? Oh, stars. Piggyback off of that and to wrap this up. It's been, so they bought it in 2012. First film was in 2015. I don't think the last turd came out right after, I think it was Rogue Zero, and then the last turd, and then whatever after that, Rise of Palpatine. All 3 of those movies sucked. I don't like Rogue Zero. I didn't like Endor Show. So good. Might as well be an alternate universe. The Kenobi might as well be an alternate universe. And I think about it, like, I reviewed my last episode of Kenobi, and I'm like, maybe it should have been a trilogy instead, because people might have to see McGregor Kenobi again. But I'm kind of wondering if a TV show, a film might have been better for that particular story. Just to get rid of all the extra stuff that didn't need to be there in the first place. Like that dopey character Reva just never should have been in that show at all. Because then you could see another excuse to have Darth Vader on the big screen again, and Kenobi. Like that would sell buckets of money, and they missed the opportunity. And there hasn't been a single film in yet almost 8 years. 2019 was the last Disney Wars film, Rise of Palpatine, and it was terrible. And people say, "Oh, but the Force Awakens started off pretty well." Like, even if it did, the movies that come after it made the Force Awakens pointless because nothing is explained. Everything's thrown out the window. There's no character development for Rey because her character arc is over in the first movie because she beats the villain. No training. She's never used a lightsaber. Never knew what the Force was. She thought Luke was a myth. And this chick is throwing people around. She's throwing people around, using mind tricks. I'm like, man, even Padawans can't do a mind trick right out the gate. Are you kidding me? It's almost like the script was written by an idiot. When you get to the games, like Fallen Orders and Survivor, you could tell there's actual respect for the source material, which is the exact opposite of what you get with the movies. It's unfortunate, but it's true because it's never going to happen. Lucasfilm will never make a good Star Wars film. If it hasn't happened yet, it won't happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. It's a sad realization. Not everyone's going to accept it, but I think for fans like me who grew up with the expanding universe, doesn't matter one way or the other because I always have my books to fall back on. I always have my games to fall back on. I always have the comics, Dark Empire, audio drama I was listening to the other day. It's corny, but it's still better than anything Mickey Mouse has put out in the last 10 years. Mandalorian will be the only exception I'll make because it's an original story for the most part. And I don't really see how they're going to market this character on the big screen, considering he barely has any line of dialogue, wears a helmet, and runs around with a little kid who's 50 years old, doesn't talk. And what's the plot of this new movie? On the Run from the Empire again. And you go, look, another original story. You haven't seen it before. So I'm like, Disney Wars was a guaranteed failure from the beginning. I accepted it a while ago, and I just showed you the video from World Class Bullshitters. All the evidence is right there. It's never going to happen, people. It's been 7 years since the last film. If they don't crack one up by 2026, it's a wrap. It's already over. I don't care one way or the other, but I mean, yeah, it's never going to happen.